Hi there, this is Datila, and welcome to the Wrestling Time Post Show. It is Wednesday, March 1st, 2023, which means I will be reviewing AEW Dynamite. So tonight's Dynamite was the go-home show to Revolution. Now, let's talk about the closing segment, which was a Bryan Danielson in-ring promo. And so he started talking about how over 7 years he was forced to retire, and then 2 years later he came back. He says, if you fight for your dreams will fight for you, which I think is very inspirational. MJF comes out, and I guess he was about to say something, but Bryan tells him to shut up. And Bryan starts talking about all the reasons that MJF hates him for. And he talks about how MJF thinks he deserves all those things, but he hasn't done anything to fight for them. And MJF took every shortcut to get to the title. So Bryan then goes on to say that MJF deserved his fiance leaving him. I was like, damn. It's like he went there. Well, to be fair, MJF last week did bring up Bryan Danielson's kids, so it was only fair. Bryan starts talking about how MJF was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Now, Bryan lists all the things that he fought, and one of the things he mentions, he fought the Authority, which is true if anybody remembers that storyline from 2014. He mentions that prior to coming to AEW, he had a job that would have paid him for the rest of his life, but he came to AEW to fight, and his dream is to become AEW World Champion. And he's willing to fight for it. Then he tells MJF that he better fight for the full 60 minutes. And he ends his promo by saying, you have to give everything you got, because if you don't, we don't hear what he says because he gets censored. And that is how Dynamite pretty much ends, with Bryan Danielson in the ring saying something to MJF, and he gets censored. They actually have the uncensored version on Twitter, and basically Bryan is telling MJF, you're going to get your fucking head kicked in. So that is what Bryan Danielson said, and they censored that. They censored the whole thing. They censored from when he says, your fucking head kicked in. They didn't even just censor one word. Like, they censored the whole phrase. So honestly, I cannot wait for that 60-minute Iron Man match. I think it's going to be a really good match. It's going to be interesting to see if MJF can hang the 60 minutes. And let's see what kind of shenanigans he pulls to try to beat Bryan Danielson. But what were your guys' thoughts on Bryan's promo and him getting censored by TBS for saying that? Let me know in the comment section. All right. So AEW Dynamite kicked off with the AEW All-Atlantic Championship match. It was Orange Cassidy versus Big Bill. Now, Orange Cassidy was playing mind games with Big Bill. He was doing his typical Orange Cassidy stuff. He was rolling out of the way. He stole Stokely Hathaway's glasses and he put them on. Like, because of that, Big Bill almost crashed into Stokely. At one point, Big Bill put Orange Cassidy through the ring bell table, and he even mocked Orange Cassidy, which I thought was hilarious. So Danhausen ended up coming out midway through the match, and he tried to curse Stokely Hathaway, but Big Bill prevented that. Stokely Hathaway doing a Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. and hitting Danhausen with that cast. It took 3 orange punches, 2 regular ones, and a third one from the top rope to take down Big Bill, because he would not go down after 2, and Orange Cassidy successfully retains his All-Atlantic title. So I thought it was a great opening contest, and definitely, at first I was like, what's Orange Cassidy gonna do at Revolution? Is he gonna defend the All-Atlantic title? But we'll find out later in the night what Orange Cassidy's gonna do. We get a Jon Moxley promo, which was actually taped last week. It was after he fought Evil Uno, and Jon Moxley is cutting this promo while he's busted open. He's dripping blood. So he goes to like the stairwell, and he starts talking about how he can taste it. He can taste it like victory, and it tastes like life. He starts talking about how that's what he is all about, living his life to the fullest. And honestly, everybody should live their life to the fullest. He starts talking about how he said it before, he is a sick man. He does this because he likes it. He says that it's not something he's proud of, and it's not something to aspire to. He lives for this shit. Moxie goes on to say he's not the kind of guy you want to go down a dark alley with when there's only one of them coming out. He looks at the camera and he tells Hangman, who does he really think is going to come out? And he says that twice and reminds Hangman that he wanted this. That he tried to leave it alone. He says he beat Hangman once, and sent him to the hospital, barely breaking a sweat. Yet he got no credit for it, and they said it was an accident. Hangman beat him, and Moxie comes back from the worst injury he's had in years. He came back from a concussion. Now, I was there at that episode of Dynamite when Jon Moxley got the concussion. At first, I thought it was kind of a work, but I found out later on in the night that he did suffer from a concussion. He says he beat Hangman, and he did the same thing that Hangman did to him. But yet, Hangman got praised for it. He got his flowers. He got the glory. But he didn't get anything. He was told it was a fluke. It wasn't real and that it didn't count. He got beat by a wrestling move he learned in 7th grade. He talks about that, how this time he will leave no doubt that Hangman is a great man, a great wrestler, but he's not the same animal as him. And that there's only room for one animal like him in this ecosystem, and he will die to protect what is his. So obviously, great promo by Jon Moxley. This Texas death match is sure going to be bloody, and I'm very curious to see who is going to go over in this. Personally, I think for it to be over, Hangman needs to win, because what do you guys think of Moxley beating Hangman? In my opinion, I think Hangman needs to beat Moxley. But that's just me. So we get the Elite, and I don't think they were going to do a match, because they were just coming out. Maybe probably to cut a promo, we don't know, and we may never know. But they come out, and as they're doing their entrance, the lights go out, and House of Black attack the Elite. And when the lights come on, the Elite is laid out, and House of Black is holding up those titles, those trios titles. So I know the Elite won their titles back in January, and it's been 2 months. They've had incredible matches with Top Flight and Death Triangle, with that Best of 7 series match. But what do you guys think? Is it too soon for the Elite to lose the titles? Honestly, I think House of Black should win this. The Elite should put them over, in my opinion, they should put them over, unless they're gonna plan a different feud for the Elite. Personally, I wouldn't have mind if the Elite lost the trio titles to AR Fox and Top Flight, but we'll see how the House of Black fares against the Elite. We have the Face of the Revolution ladder match, and it's AR Fox versus Sammy Guevara versus Konosuke Takeshita versus Powerhouse Hobbs versus Action Andretti versus Eddie Kingston versus Ortiz versus Commander. There was a lot of chaos going on in this, but I tried my best to keep up. So we find out that the winner of this will get an opportunity at the TNT title next week. So Commander, he really shined in this match. I mean, one of my favorite spots that he did was when he walked the rope, jump onto the other side of the ropes, and then he took everyone out on the outside. That was a pretty cool spot if you ask me. Okay, there was this one spot, I think this was a botch, where Action Andretti, he did the Falcon Arrow to Sammy Guevara onto the ladder, but Sammy's head hit the ladder, so I'm thinking that was a botch. Another spot here that I like was when Konosuke Takeshita did the Blue Thunder Bomb to Commander off the ladder. That was really cool. Now, there was a lot of stories intertwined in this. So Eddie Kingston and Ortiz really weren't a part of this match because they just went at it themselves, and they went all the way to the back. And according to commentary, they needed to be separated. So Daniel Garcia comes out, and Takeshita and Action Andretti were on the ladder, and he came out and he just shoved that ladder with them on it, and he took out Action Andretti. So Sammy Guevara did the senton to Action Andretti onto a ladder. That looked like it hurt. And Sammy Guevara was all knocked out from this. And so I thought it was hilarious. Daniel Garcia helped him climb the ladder. But then Konosuke Takeshita did the same thing. He shoved that ladder with Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia on it. And Powerhouse Hobbs ended up taking out Takeshita. And so 3 guys hold the ladder for Powerhouse Hobbs, and he wins. And since this was his hometown, the crowd was behind him. And so at the end, Samoa Joe was on commentary for this match. So at the end, it seemed like Samoa Joe was going to go and confront Powerhouse Hobbs, but Wardlow showed up instead, and security attempted to stop Wardlow, but he took them out. He did a powerbomb off the ramp to a security onto a group of security guards. And while all this chaos is happening, Powerhouse Hobbs is just sitting there like, I've got time. So I guess the question is, who is Powerhouse Hobbs going to face next week? Is it going to be Samoa Joe, or is it going to be Wardlow? I personally think it's going to be Wardlow, but we got to wait and see. Who do you guys think? Is it going to be Samoa Joe, or is it going to be Wardlow? Let me know in the comments down below. We get a pretty quick backstage segment with Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, and we find out that they're now medically cleared to compete in tonight's match. And so Danhausen says that he and Orange Cassidy will compete in the match instead. So next we get Chris Jericho versus Pretty Peter Avalon. And for this match, Peter Avalon immediately went after Chris Jericho. I mean, he did a tope onto Chris Jericho that threw him into the barricade, and he was gouging Chris Jericho's face. He did a crossbody, a swinging DDT, yet Chris Jericho hit the codebreaker, and match was over. Chris Jericho took his bat and started hitting Peter Avalon with it, and then Ricky Starks came out to help Peter Avalon, and Jericho starts talking about how since JAS cannot be there at ringside, they're there tonight, and so they all come out and attack Ricky Starks. Now, if you look closely, Daniel Garcia does the rock bottom to Ricky Starks, and it ends with Chris Jericho hitting the Judas effect to Ricky Starks. So I honestly feel like Ricky Starks is going to beat Chris Jericho because I think this feud is ending at Revolution. So we get a Hangman Adam Page promo. He starts talking about how he talked to Dark Order earlier today, and Alex Reynolds said that what if this is the end of Moxley and Hangman? Is he afraid, a little bit afraid of losing? So Hangman says that this match is all he has left to lose. He had the AEW World title and he lost that. He had another shot at Mox and he took that away from him. He says Moxie can't take away his friends from him. He already beat Uno within an inch of his life. Can't take away his memory. It's gone. He can't take away the feeling in the tip of his fingers because he ain't got it no more. Can't take away his heart because Mox can't carry it. And he says that on Sunday he takes everything from Moxley. He will take his spot at the top of the food chain, will take away Moxley's pride, blood, and violence. At the end of the war, it will be him, not Moxley, that will be the last man standing. He says that Moxley is right. Hangman isn't the same kind of animal as him. As you guys remember earlier in the night when during the Jon Moxley promo, he says that Hangman was not the same animal as him. So this is Hangman agreeing with Moxley. He says he doesn't enjoy violence. He hates it to its core. But this Sunday he will be the most violent and bloodthirsty son of a bitch Moxley has ever seen. Not in spite of that, but because of it. Because that is who he knows he has to be to beat Moxley. He says beating Moxley is the last glimmer of hope Hangman does, and there's two ways out of Texas death. You either live or you die. And after Sunday, Moxley will never be the same. So I'm excited for this match. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty excited for this Texas death match. Like I said earlier, I think Hangman needs to beat Moxley. I think Hangman gets some out of it more than Moxley, but that's just me. I think Hangman should beat Jon Moxley. Unless there's a story you want to tell with Hangman losing. All right, so we get a Christian Cage in-ring interview, and he's asked about his rivalry with Jungle Boy. He starts talking about how he was done with Jungle Boy until he was sitting down at home watching when Jungle Boy said that he was going to win a singles title in 2023. Christian Cage says over his dead body will Jungle Boy win because he will be champion in 2023. He starts talking about how Jungle Boy and his whole generation treat this business like a video game, that unlike him, he treats it like a business and will milk it until it's dry. And he challenges Jungle Boy to a fight. So he says, the reality is you're just your father's son. Just like your father, you're a no-talent hack that should be thankful you got Hollywood good looks to get through life because this business is not for you, kid. You don't have the guts. When he said that, I was like, dang, that's uncalled for. Especially because, Luke Perry did pass away a couple years ago. So, but hey, Christian Cage is a heel. So the lights go off and you see Jungle Boy appear in the Titantron. And he starts to show his career highlights, and then it zooms out, and you see Jungle Boy with a shovel, and he's burying something, and there's a tombstone that says "Rest in Peace, Christian Cage." So it seems to me like we might get a buried alive match. Maybe not at Revolution because this was the go home show. Maybe we'll find out more on Rampage, but it seems that's what this seems to be hinting at, a buried alive match. I wonder if they're going to call it a buried alive match. I don't think WWE owns that trademark. If not, I wonder what they would call it. Alright, so Jamie Hayter's interviewed backstage, and she says she doesn't know what's going to be sweeter, beating one bitch or two. Dr. Britt Baker says that tonight Saraya can watch two former AEW women's champions duke it out in the ring, and she can look, but she can't touch because she's never going to have that belt. Jamie Hayter says that if Saraya wants to do shenanigans, she's more than welcome to because they will be there looking out for her. Okay, we'll get the FTW Championship match. It's Hook versus Matt Hardy. And Matt Hardy's actually taking it to Hook. I mean, this is the first time I've seen Hook get dominated, kind of like what Matt Hardy was doing to Hook. But it seems to me like Matt Hardy wasn't really trying in this match. And the reason why I say that is because remember, if Hook won, he would get to wrestle Stokely Hathaway in a no DQ match with the firm being banned from ringside. So Stokely Hathaway, he took off his cast, he gave it to Ethan Page, and Ethan Page hit Hook with it. That was not enough to beat Hook, and Hook put the red rum on Matt Hardy, and Matt Hardy quickly tapped out. So Hook ended up winning by submission, and like I said, it's going to be Hook versus Stokely Hathaway in a no DQ match with the firm being banned from ringside. I don't know when this match is going to take place. They didn't say it was going to take place at Revolution, so it could be on the countdown to Revolution, or it might just happen on a random episode of Dynamite. So next we get Toni Storm versus Rihu. And okay, so I'm a little confused as to why this match is taking place. I get Rihu was the first AEW Women's Champion. She was the inaugural champion, and Toni Storm, as he said on commentary, she was the 6th Women's Champion. But you had Shida, who was a part of this feud, and she kind of just disappeared. You could have inserted Shida into this feud, because Shida till this day is the longest reigning AEW Women's Champion. But yet it was Rihu versus Toni Storm. So Toni Storm immediately went after Rihu. She didn't even let Rihu take off her coat. Saraya attempted to distract Rihu, and because of this, Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker came down to ringside. Toni Storm mocked Britt Baker. You know how she does a whole DMD? Toni Storm did something similar like that. She was mocking her. Now, when Toni Storm puts the cloverleaf to Rihu, Britt Baker, she caused a distraction, so this allowed Rihu to win. Afterwards, Saraya and Jamie Hayter go at it, because Britt and Toni Storm go at it. And then Ruby Soho came out, and she hit Saraya, and there's this moment oh my god, she finally chose a side. Then she turns her attention over to Jamie Hayter and hits Jamie Hayter. And so there's a brawl breaking out, and refs come out to separate the women. I feel like they were trying to do, you know how WWE does those brawls, or 2 people go at it, and all these securities, and occasionally the locker room comes out to separate them. I feel like they were trying to do that, but it wasn't executed properly. At least in my opinion, it wasn't. I still think somehow we're gonna get blood and guts match out of this feud. So after this, we get the Revolution Tag Team Battle Royal to determine who will be the 4th team in the 4-way tag team title match. So this match was kind of chaotic. So Dark Order, John Silver and Alex Reynolds start off the match. Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castelloni don't even wait for them to finish their entrance. They just attack them from behind. Penta Es Cero Miedo was wearing 49er colors, as they were in San Francisco. And I like that he had the 0 in the back, for Cero Miedo, which I thought that was really cool. So there was a lot of stuff going on in this match. I tried my best to keep up. Aussie Open, Top Flight were a part of this match. So was the Kingdom. Aussie Open suplexed the Kingdom. So both Fletcher and Davis each suplexed a member of the Kingdom. Smart Mark Sterling and Josh Woods came out, and they attacked the Lucha Brothers. They did a back suplex to Phoenix. Well, Josh Woods did. Rush eliminated Penta. Preston Vance got eliminated. Darius eliminated Rush with the dropkick. Kyle Fletcher accidentally hit Mark Davis. Top Flight got eliminated by Aussie Open. And so Orange Cassidy and Danhausen enter in place of Best Friends. And Orange Cassidy eliminates Angelo Parker. Then Butcher and Blade are the last team to enter. It looked like Aussie Open pulled Maria onto the ring apron, and they were about to attack her, but they moved, and the Kingdom accidentally super kicked her. And then this allowed Aussie Open to super kick the Kingdom, eliminating them. Dark Order, despite the fact that they were already eliminated, they came out, they distracted Wheeler Yuta, and he got eliminated by Orange Cassidy. Kind of ironic, don't you think? Especially because Orange Cassidy did wrestle against Wheeler Yuta and beat him, and they were friends once, so ironic that it was Orange Cassidy. And the final 2 teams were Butcher and Blade, Orange Cassidy, and Danhausen. I really like that Stunner Lariat combo that Butcher and Blade did to Orange Cassidy. So Danhausen, as Butcher and Blade were trying to eliminate Orange Cassidy, Danhausen came out of nowhere and eliminated Butcher and Blade. So Orange Cassidy and Danhausen win this match. Triple J come out and attack Orange Cassidy, and then the Acclaim come out and attack Triple J. So I have to say, this match, Danhausen and Orange Cassidy ended up winning. So it's going to be them versus the Acclaim versus Triple J versus the Guns for those AEW World Tag Team titles. Look who you had in this match. You had the Lucha Brothers, you had Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castelloni, you had Top Flight, you had the Kingdom, you had Aussie Open. Honestly, this match should have just been the Guns versus the Acclaimed. I felt like there was no need for a four-way, especially with the teams involved. I mean, you had Triple J in there in that match. Now you have Danhausen and Orange Cassidy. The only teams I see winning are either the Guns retain or the Acclaim regain their titles. Now, FTR wasn't even a part of this Revolution Tag Team Battle Royal. They weren't a part of the other one, too. So if the Guns win, maybe FTR comes out. The Acclaim regain their titles. Maybe their feud with the Guns continues, but it just surprises me that you're going to put Danhausen, Orange Cassidy, Triple J in a match with the Gun Club and the Acclaim. I get that's what the storyline is headed, but really, Danhausen, Orange Cassidy? I get, I could be wrong. This match could actually be a potential banger, or it might just be like, oh, okay. I guess we have to wait and see. But I personally think it should have been the Guns versus the Acclaim at Revolution instead of having a four-way. And then after this, we get the Bryan Danielson in-ring promo, which I talked about at the beginning. So that concludes this review. And this is the go-home show for Revolution. And I've always said, the purpose of a go-home show is to sell you the pay-per-view, to make you excited, to just do its job. There's a lot of stuff that I liked on here. The All-Atlantic title match, I really like, but Orange Cassidy isn't even defending his All-Atlantic title. Both the Jon Moxley and Hangman promos were great. The Elite stuff with House of Black, I liked. I honestly like the face of the Revolution ladder match a lot better than I did the Tag Team Battle Royal. Jericho versus Peter Avalon. I get why it took place because, Jericho knocked Peter Avalon out with the Judas effect as he was trying to answer Ricky Stark's open challenge. I like the Christian Cage in-ring interview. I feel like Christian Cage did a really good job at cutting a heel promo, and it seems like we're going to get a Buried Alive match, but I don't know if it'll take place at Revolution. The FTW Championship match, Hook versus Matt Hardy. Unless it's Hook versus Stokely Hathaway in a no DQ match, I'm probably on the countdown to Revolution. You're going to just wait it till next week to have this match. So there's stuff on here that I like, there's stuff I didn't like, but overall, I didn't think it was that bad of a go-home show. So I'd give this a 7 out of 10. But what did you guys think of tonight's Dynamite? Let me know in the comment section down below. With that being said, okay, a couple things. Number one, my Hasbro Sword Ascension Dragon Sword unboxing video should be out tomorrow. That's long overdue. Number two, I would not be reviewing Friday Night SmackDown or AEW Rampage, as I will be going to San Francisco for AEW Revolution. So with that being said, make sure you like and subscribe, and you hit that bell so you get notified of all the clips that I will be uploading from AEW Revolution. And thank you guys so much for watching and for the continued support. And I'll see you guys next week, hopefully live after Raw. Bye.